So the specified service limitation, I said that to you. Well, it's not only you. It's any trade or business, one, performing services as an employee. As I said, Congress specifically said, we can't give this deduction to the employees because the deficit would be so horrible that, and right now we're stuck at 1.5 trillion or billion dollars, but we can't have that. Well, what about having an employee and treat them as an independent contractor? Nope. You're not going to get that fix. No employees. And you have to use the common law employee classification. And then there's a specified service. So we know it's not an employee, disguised employee. So what's a specified service? I already told you accounting was one of those. And they're started in the House and the Senate. Those are public hearings. So I know that in the House and the Senate that there was 12. But those are two bills. And when the House and the Senate are different, it goes to a conference committee. The conferees. 10 from the House, 2 from the Senate, boom. Those 12, and that's not public. Nobody will ever know what is discussed or who discussed. But I do know that there was one lobbying group that never testified at the House open hearings or the Senate Finance. None. And yet what I do know is when we came out with a final for the up and down vote to the House and the Senate, number 3 and number 4 were crossed out. That is the most important, powerful lobbying group I've ever seen that is so confident that prior to it going to the conference committee, they didn't even bother to testify. And there is no proof of who that is because it's not for public knowledge. So who is the biggest alligator in the swamp that could pull that off? I don't know. But I do know that I'm going to take an educated guess and say it's the National Association of Realtors. And I bet I don't get a phone call that says anything different, because the engineers and the architects often pay dues to NAR. And what this is saying is, whoa, it's not the only place. With the $650 dues that the engineers and architects, they're not specified service, only 80% of their income is going to be taxable. They got their money's worth. So here's the other 10. We're going to go through each one of them. Health services. I like the regulations. They really did specify each one of those, and you can look it up. Health services, doctors, dentists, nurses, etc. Pharmacists. It was really interesting that they ended up giving an example. It's in your material. What happened? Does a pharmacy get it, but the pharmacy doesn't? That's right. So, can a pharmacist taint? Pharmacist sells other stuff, products, flu shots. How do you allocate in those two? I'm just saying that what is not health services is the pharmacist's product. But the pharmacist himself or herself, he or she is not going to get the 20% QBI. Radiologists never talk to people. They just interpret. Do they get it? Are they health services and therefore don't get the 20%? Yes. But not assisted living facilities or surgery centers. Those were kind of two that we see in the new regulations. Practicing law. Okay, so nobody likes lawyers. I like them. Then in the definition in the code, and it didn't change, and it should have, paralegals aren't practicing law. Arbitrators and mediators most certainly isn't practicing law. That should never have been passed. And I really hope the arbitrators and mediators take them to court, because that's not practicing law. And you can't say lawyers and then say such as legal arbitrators and mediators. Come on, Congress, you can't make up a definition of law. I see a conflict there. Accounting. That's us. And it's going to include both tax preparation and financial preparation and audit and even bookkeeping, but not payroll. What happens if the payroll is owned in another entity and that other entity was created prior to January 1, 2018? Then the IRS will continue to respect that payroll service is not. But if you start that payroll service after January 1, 2018, they'll call it accounting. Actuarial services, I mean, they screw it up. I've never talked to an actuary because I don't think they talk. It's weird. But the definition in the regs say it's just the raw data accumulation, but it's not the, I don't hire an actuary to just do raw data collection. I want to know what it means. So this one's got me stumped. Performing art. This is the front of the camera versus the back of the camera. Front, you're not going to get it. Back of the camera, you get it. That's performing art. Consulting. Professional advice and lobbying. Lobbying is not consulting. I know what it is, but there's no consulting with lobbying. They just wanted to hit, and this is in the law, they just wanted to hit at lobbyists. Shame on them. Not that I love lobbyists, I don't. But you just can't make up a word. Now, what happens if you also sell product? Well, I'm going to give you a couple of examples on that. The one I think was the first one that I faced was somebody who sold parts for 1950s muscle cars and then consulted on how you put it together. That means that if they sell parts, their advice is not consulting. All right, I'll show some more examples. Professional athletes, again, the regulations went outside the definition of what we would think. I think that if you're going to end up being, a professional athlete, I don't care what it is. No. But the coaches and the team managers and the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, you're not a professional athlete. So I think they got that one wrong. I hope it's litigated. Jerry Jones has got enough money that he can pay for their own litigation. But I think that he should get it because he's not an athlete. He's not very professional either, but I know I'm going to get into trouble with that. We might have to delete that. But maintenance, that's fine. Financial services. I would have thought this was much broader because in the code, they just say what it is. In the regulations, financial investment, wealth planners, retirement, but not bank or loan brokers. Be a little careful on this one. Brokerage, limited to just security brokerage, commodity brokerage, selling a partnership interest, but not real estate brokers or agents, and not insurance brokers or agents. Limited. Real estate agents. Oh, big alligator here. Present, I understand. Reputation and skill of the owner. Best architect. My generation just died. Payee, great stuff. Is his company based on the reputation and skill of the owner when he designed the Music Hall of Fame? Does Payee get it? Yes. Because what they limited in the regulations to is just endorsements, licensing fees, and appearances. I wonder who the lobbyist was in this one. So I'd have an example, reputation and skill that would end up having to pay this. George Foreman. Let's take a look. What's he doing? Licensing the individual's identity. Result, George, reputation and skill, you don't get to 20%. Investment management. Security traders, partners selling partnership interest recovered. I don't care if they're paid by a percentage or a fee. And you cannot now just simply divide your business and say, oh, some of this is investment and some of this is product. Because it is. Can't do that. It's too late. You had to have it broken apart prior to January 1, 2018, but you can't do it now.